Welcome, everyone, to another edition of Stepping Up to the Plate. I'm your host, Michael Vega. So glad you could join us here with my main man, Al Prizzuti, who found many of his fans last week eager to talk to him over at Steel and Rye. Al, he's a favorite amongst the females out in Steel and Rye. But at any rate, we had a great time visiting with some fans out there, and we wanted to spend the time with you here, talking a little bit of sports here, scintillating sports scene here with the Patriots, Al, winning at Chicago. Drake May having a performance, I thought. And then certainly, I think, showcasing himself above the number one overall draft pick, Caleb Williams, who got sacked 9 times, Al. Unbelievable. And then, of course, the Celtics, they're kind of like playing with their food here, it seems like, early on in the season. Getting stretched to the hilt by several teams. And they got to realize early on that everyone's going to be coming at them. Everyone's going to be coming at them and giving them their A game. And they've got to really give an A game performance every week in order to repeat. It's going to be difficult road to hoe, as we saw in their opening loss to the Hawks in this NBA Cup play-in game, or play-in season tournament, I should say. And then, of course, the Bruins, one step forward, one step back, one step forward. And now the rumors swirling about with Jim Montgomery's job maybe in peril. With big win in St. Louis, now they go play back-to-back against the Stars. In Dallas, tough road ahead for them. And then we've got the college football playoff season upon us. A lot of movement up and down. Surprising team now. The Indiana Hoosiers, 10-0 right now for the first time in program history. And then you have the Boston College Eagles right now. They'll be going down to Dallas to play Southern Methodist with a new quarterback at the helm, and Grayson James, who's from Texas, by the way. So it'll be an awesome time for him. But Bill O'Brien making the command decision to step away from Thomas Castellanos, who was a dynamic force at quarterback. But, during this swoon that they had, he seemed to go off the rails a little bit, and he's also banged up. So Bill O'Brien making the command decision to bench Castellanos and go with Grayson James. So that and a whole lot more to discuss. But let's start off with the Patriots, Al. What was your take and your impressions of the way Drake May comported himself in comparison to Caleb Williams?
Well, I don't know even if you want to compare quarterbacks in that game. I know a lot of people did, and that was the hype before the game. But Chicago wasn't playing very well before. They had a couple of major injuries. Yeah. Drake May is the Patriots' future. There's no question about it. He's very mobile, more mobile than I thought he was. He's actually almost a better runner than he is passer. But he's smart. Yes. He knows how to, and he runs the team, which I think the players are happy about. He takes control. He had that meeting before in the middle of the week where he brought the team and said, this is what we need to do and whatnot. You don't see that from a kid that often. But I don't get overly excited about a win over the Bears. I mean, they could have lost the game. It was in Chicago, but their defense won the game. I mean, they went at and the kid there that
Caleb Williams,
he got to the quarterback maybe 3 or 4 times.
Oh, Keon White did.
White.
Yeah.
So I think that was what won the game. You got to remember, Chicago only scored 3 points.
Unbelievable.
I mean that's a
shutout.
Well, that's what can make the Patriots a 6 or 7 win team, as opposed to Drake May, who I think you need now to say, okay, we just need to get him some receivers. We need to get an offensive line. We need to get a running game going. If we do those things, he's gonna bring us there.
Yeah, and that's the thing, the encouraging thing. Some people say that. Well, look who they beat. It was the Bears. You have Bill Belichick. Kind of poo-pooing the win. because of the Bears and their
Well, I think
kind
he
of,
more poo-pooed the Bears than he did the
right.
Patriots.
Yeah, exactly what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So it kind of like denigrates the win for the Patriots.
I don't know. I think he's accurate there. I think the Bears played a horrendous game.
Well, yeah, their offensive line was worse. Who would have thought
I know.
anybody could have had a worse offensive line than the Patriots? Well, the Bears did. But here's the other thing, too, that I noticed, Al. There was some cohesion up front in that offensive line.
Yeah, it was a little.
And there were a lot of moving parts to that offensive line.
But what makes it acceptable is that when he's calling a play, he goes back and then the receivers are covered and there's a hole open.
He takes it.
He can scoot this
Right.
kid.
Yes.
He's a pretty good all around
Athlete.
and he's big. I mean, he's bigger than people think. So I think if I'm stepping back, I'm going to say, so they win maybe 2 or 3 more games this year if they do. That doesn't mean that this team is going this way. You can see it's going this way.
Right.
Now the question will be, if they could pick up where the needs are on the offensive line. I still think they need to do that. I still think that Stevenson needs to run the ball more.
Yes. And
You can't run it the number of times he gets because then they know he's going to be coming and then they key on him. But and he can catch. I mean,
he's a dual threat. Coming out of the backfield. And who I like where they're employing more is Douglas, Demario Douglas. They're using him. The Cannon or Marcus Jones, I should say. Marcus Jones, a kid that showed some speed, on some of these returns. And I'd like to incorporate more of that into their offensive game plan.
Yeah, so if you looked at the quarterbacks, I mean, we talked about that at the start, the difference. Their quarterback had the same problem that the Patriots quarterbacks have had at the start of the season. The offensive line didn't hold, as judged by the fact that he got buried 9 times.
Yeah,
so if a quarterback doesn't have time to set up, to see his receivers deke one way, go another, that takes a while. I mean, you got a pattern that you're running, and then you turn and you go this way. By that time, the guys are on.
Everyone thought at the beginning of the season, especially during the Hard Knocks shows that HBO was airing on the Bears, that they were doing things the right way.
Yeah.
Surrounding him with great talent at wide receiver. Mm-hmm. They got DJ Moore. They went Keenan Allen. They drafted Rome Odunze, who was a great receiver at Washington. Then, they solidified their offensive line. Then they added to their defense, too.
Yeah.
And they had a really good defense, and people were talking about their secondary, being one of the great secondaries in the league. And
that was they had to win that game because everybody had the Bears here, and they're going this way. Everybody had the Patriots this way, and they're going that way.
Upward trajectory.
So you got 2 teams going in different directions. Unbeknownst to people before, everybody thought Chicago was going to be a decent team, maybe make the playoffs, and that the Patriots were just scrambling to win 5 or 6 games.
Well, now comes the tough part of the schedule too.
Even for Chicago.
For Chicago, even worse. I mean, they got to play the iron of the AFC North.
Yeah.
You got to play the Lions twice. They still got to play the Packers twice. They still got a lot of ground to cover. But so do the Patriots. I mean, you're looking at the Dolphins.
Yeah.
Twice the Bills.
Oh yeah, I see the Patriots now kind of leveling off.
Yes.
And what we need to watch is can May keep it a football game? You don't want to see a 27-4, 5 or whatever, 6, 7 points. You want to see 32-24, 30 like that.
Well, it's not so much can May keep it a football game, Al. It's can their defense.
Well, the defense was really, before the season, everybody thought the defense was pretty good.
Yeah.
And even Belichick, even away from the team, said, hey, it's not the defense. Those guys are pretty good players.
They are, but look at the defense as constituted during the preseason and what it's become now.
Some of that can be.
You don't have a Matthew Judon.
Yeah.
You don't have a Barmore. You don't have a Jabril Peppers.
All these guys. Having Barmore come back into the lineup is going to help him. And it sounds like he's due.
It sounds like he may be getting back, and that'll be huge.
That'll help.
They may be getting Cole Strange back. That would be huge.
And you got to remember, the coach is a rookie coach.
Yeah.
And so he's starting to pick
He's
up.
feeling his way.
I think some of the other guys that he has also, we're in the same thing, Van Pelt and all these guys, they're feeling their way, and they needed to take the stigma off of a bad quarterback, which Drake May is not.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
So I think that's helping them.
But
So
they,
anyway.
yeah, and now they're confident in who's guiding their offense. They know that they can move the ball, they can score the ball. They got to stop the ball, they got to stop the run. But you know, Al, the thing that struck me about that win in Chicago was they were fairly fundamentally sound in all phases.
Yeah.
And you know what I like the most, Al, is how they rallied to score right before the half.
Yeah.
To create some separation and just like drive a dagger into the Bears.
Well, I think
So,
the good thing is, and I'm speaking for myself, I wanted to watch the game. Prior to this, I didn't really care.
Yeah.
I want to see what this team can do. So I think the interest is peaked in Patriot Nation anyways about this team,
Yeah.
whether they win or they lose. It's how they win and how they lose over the last part of the season that's going to matter to a lot of people.
Yeah.
And I think everybody's pleased with May.
Well, and segueing now to the Bruins, who have created so much consternation among Bruins faithful about the way they've been playing, particularly on the special teams, power play, penalty kill. You know, it's been lackluster.
Well, this
and
is
yet-
the worst I've seen the Bruins play in 10 years.
Yeah.
And part of it is that they're just not focused in terms of they're not with it. They're not checking. The other team, every game I've watched this year, and I watched them all,
Yeah.
the other team looks better.
The other team wins puck battles.
Even yesterday's
Yeah.
game against St. Louis, they're up 2-0. Yeah, the Bruins played a little better, but 2-0 going into the third with the team that can't score, you lose. I mean, there's another team now. I'm almost at the point where I don't want to watch them because I'm afraid. Like the Patriots, I want to watch because I think they've got an upside. The Bruins look like they've got a downside.
They're on the slide. Yeah,
And I'll tell you, the third period, that game last night, everybody talked about. Pasta had 10 shots on goal in the second, up to the second period.
unbelievable.
Marchand was on fire last night. That's the way he can play.
Right.
Finally, McAvoy played a good game. I say finally because he's been a big disappointment for the Bruins so far. And, you know, I wouldn't put what Swayman did last night was make a save when he needed to.
Right.
He hasn't been playing that well.
No.
But he made the save that he needed to. And that kid on the breakaway, I thought he had that goal, and he got it with his pad. But if you look at this team, here's where they're going to get a problem. Geeky finally scored a goal last night. You got Pavel Zacha, you got Charlie Coyle, you've got Trent Frederick, you've got those three guys there have done nothing. You've got Zadora on defense, who is, you know, I've been watching him. When he takes the puck, he goes backward toward before he starts the play. It's almost like he's waiting for other. He's not a guy like
He's not
McAvoy
initiating
that-
the offense.
No way, he can't take it out of the
He
zone.
can't carry the puck across the zone.
And I think their defense has been particularly weak.
And then now you have this injury to Lindholm, evidently.
Yeah, I don't know exactly. I saw, exactly what's going to happen there. But look they're going to have to make a move anyways because they won that game in the third period. And I thought Andrew Rakefroth was interesting because between the second and third period, he said last night, St. Louis is key not to win the game. The Bruins, if they push, they could win, and they did. But look at it, it's one period that they played. I thought they didn't play that well in the first two periods. Better than they've been playing, but not. Now they're going to go down to Dallas, who's playing better than the Bruins. That'll be, and they also beat Boston in Boston.
Yeah.
So, but through it all, I sit back and, you know, they're like 4-1 in November.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, they're still there. They're third in the division.
It's unbelievable.
And the Panthers lost last night to the Devils.
Unbelievable.
So I think there's,
Now No
there's
one's
hope.
pulling away right now.
I think there's hope, but I think the two things that are going to happen here. One, and Merkelov's on fire, incidentally, down in Providence. I think that he's probably got the better chance
Of coming up.
than Fabian Lysell, because I still think they think Lysell needs to
Bulk up.
get a little bigger and
It's for his
learn
own
how to come
protection.
back.
Yeah.
I thought what was interesting, though, is the Pasta story, because he still is the best player on the team.
Yeah.
And when he sat him down for the third period, I thought that was the stupidest thing I've seen in a long time, because this is a team that can't score. And they take the best scorer on the team. So if you set him up properly, now they've given him different line mates, and you know, last night he was the best player on the Bruins team.
And you saw how Montgomery treated him on the
Yeah, oh
bench.
yeah, he went over to him. But here's the problem with Pasta. Pasta has always been a guy who gives up the puck. You know, it
Yes.
kind of reminds me of Bobby Hull and these guys that years ago, their job was to score goals. And nobody criticized the fact that they didn't back check and stuff like that, or they gave the puck up, because their value is in scoring goals.
Not possessing the puck.
And Pasta is very similar, and yet Pasta still has been dishing out quite a few assists.
Yeah.
He's got a lot of points.
Yeah.
And Marchand, for all the criticisms he's taken, because he is the captain, and a little, I think, a slow start, he was the best player in the third period last night, though. He's all over the place.
No
I mean,
doubt.
he's moving.
No doubt.
So my hope with this team is they get a little more stability and they check. They lose every battle.
Yeah.
They can't come out of the zone. I mean, there's so many things. Their power play stinks.
Yeah.
And their penalty
Al,
killing
that's-
stinks.
To me, I mean, what's more infuriating about that is how they don't shoot the puck.
Well,
They're going side to side trying to get the penalty killers.
that's where Lindholm's going to hurt them, because McAvoy, for some reason, never shoots.
Right.
And last night, he got set up by who? Marchand.
Yes.
Marchand set him up, and he ripped he can shoot. And I would say to him, don't stop shooting, because Lindholm is actually better on a power play than McAvoy.
Yeah.
So
And you may lose him now.
who? Lindholm. I don't know how what's going on there, but he said he wasn't going to be back for the rest of the game.
But
we'll
yeah,
see.
to me, Al, it's just a matter of shooting, putting the puck on the net. Good things will happen. You get juicier rebounds. Maybe someone is on the back door, gets a rebound, gets it past the puck.
Well-
I've seen it happen to the Bruins time and time again,
Yeah, well,
where they
it's
give
like-
up a power play goal like that.
I watched in between the periods, and they were talking about Geeky had a good game. Let's be honest about that. Pasternak's pass over to Geeky was not it was a tip pass that he handled, and he got it off quickly.
Yeah.
But I mean,
Could've
Pasta set that goal up.
been- Right.
Everybody went to him thinking he's going to shoot. He had 10
And that's what I'm
shots
talking
on
about.
goal.
Someone coming in from the backside is going to have an open look.
Which is
because
what
guess
you
what?
need.
The goalie's going to rotate over to that side.
Well,
of the ice.
everybody's
so
gonna
he
go-
tilts the ice wherever he is.
Yeah,
You know?
and if I was a goaltender and I saw Geeky coming down and I saw Pasta, I'm moving to Pasta, because he's
course
going to
you are.
shoot. And
course you
Pasta's smart enough to say, just got it over. That was a kind of a deflection.
Yeah, you got to thread the needle on that
Yeah.
sometimes.
And anyways, you know what? It was a nice win, because they came back in the third period when they were down 2 goals. They hadn't done it all year.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens with the day off. And then they've got Dallas on Saturday. I think if they win those 2 games, because they've been miserable on the road, but they haven't been that good at home either. Let's be honest about it.
Yeah. They got to make hay on the road.
Yeah,
while they
they're a
can.
500 team right now, and everybody says the measure is at Thanksgiving. If the team is here and going this way at Thanksgiving, they're not going to make it, and then you might say, well, Monty's job's on the line, or
Yeah, that sort of Damocles is going to hang over his head.
Monty's got a house, still lives in St. Louis.
There you go.
And Trent Frederick's family was there, because he's from St. Louis.
Yeah.
And then he's going to go to Dallas, where he coached Monty.
This is
So
kinda
he's
funny.
feeling comfortable right now.
For sure. Well, and then the other tenants of the Garden, the Boston Celtics.
Wow,
Al, I love this team. I still do. Nothing they can do is going to make me sour on them. But the way they've been, approaching some of these games of late, I mean, just give me an uneasiness, and you can probably see it in the reaction that I have, that, sometimes they're just toying with teams. But the thing that I was astonished by in this 117 to 116 loss to a depleted Atlanta Hawks team that didn't have Trae Young, didn't have several other guys. Bogdanovich was out, guys that might have made that game much different. It was the lack of rim protection they had.
Yeah, well.
And they gave up an easy basket to a guy who's on a 10-day contract at the end of the game, where now puts the Hawks ahead and puts the Celtics on their back heels. And now you got to rely on hero ball play. And while the Celtics did turn over the Hawks to get one last possession, the look they got was a kind of a contorted jumper, double clutch by Jaylen Brown that he might have made or might have drawn a foul had he just caught and shot it.
Well, Jaylen Brown said it best at the end of the game. We looked at the Hawks and said we're going to beat them before the game.
Yeah, it's interesting.
And
they
didn't play the way they normally play. Again, Porzingis is he's not there.
Well, the guys that I'm pleasantly surprised by.
One for me, couple for me.
All right, let's see if we match. Yeah. Number one for me is Neemias Queta. He gives them an athletic presence at the rim. The rim protection they're lacking. When he's out of the game, it changes the dynamic for the opponents.
Well, now
they attack the rim more.
Yeah, no.
The other guy's Peyton Pritchard.
Yeah, well, Peyton Pritchard for me.
He kept him in that game last night.
Well, Peyton Pritchard for me has been. Now you got to be careful with Peyton Pritchard because he signed I think a 4-year deal or something last year.
He's a Celtic.
But everybody wants him.
They can't have him.
Well,
he's ours.
I don't know.
He's ours.
Yeah, but he's been there. He's
ours the way
16 points a game.
The way Marcus Smart was ours.
He's a different type of player than Marcus. He's a better shooter than Marcus Smart could ever be. I mean, he's a 3 and I call him a 3-4 shooter.
But you know what, though? The way they were talking about at the end of the game, how they got out physical, out toughed.
Yeah.
They were diving for loose balls. I said, who did that for the Celtics for the longest time? Who set that tone? And they were missing that guy.
Yeah. Well,
and Drew Holiday does a lot of that. Derek White does a lot of that.
Yeah.
But at the end of that game, those guys were like playing on fumes.
Well, I mean, I saw Missoula at the end of the game, and I saw Jaylen Brown talk, and he said he put the stats out there, and actually the Hawks outplayed them in every aspect. Yeah. And Brown hit it right on the nose. They thought they were going to win the game, the Celtics, and they didn't put out.
Yeah.
And that happens. I mean, it happens.
Yeah.
You got to learn from it.
Well, that's the thing. You think you're going to show up and they're going to bow to you. But no, here's what they're learning here through the first 12 games of the season is that everyone's gunning for them.
Yeah,
every team
wants to beat them.
They forget, hey, we're the champs. Everyone's going to be gunning for us.
Well, they almost lost the game before it.
And you know what? And you watch you probably may have missed it, but I watched the reaction of the Atlanta Hawks. Those guys thought they won the NBA Finals.
Well, yeah, I'm
because,
sure.
To be the man out, you got to beat the man. And right now, the Celtics, they're that team. They're that team. Everyone's going to be gunning.
Look at the Bruins last night. At the end of the game, you think that they won the Stanley Cup.
Well, I mean,
they beat St. Louis, who's actually the Bruins.
The sweet elixir of victory is its own nectar.
I guess.
So, how do you like that one? That purpley prose. But yeah, I mean, it's of concern if they don't rectify matters. But here it is. Now they got a back-to-back. They got to go to play against the Nets. The Nets took them into overtime last night.
Yeah.
The Nets are going to be sitting there polishing their brass knuckles because get this, everyone now knows you can rough up the Celtics. You can go at them, and the Golden State Warriors showed you that. They showed that to everybody. Hey, and ever since that game, everyone's been going at them. So everyone's going to be going at these guys, and they got to expect they're going to get roughed up.
I think Porzingis changes the dynamic though when he's back in there, and I don't think that they'll have a problem. I mean, this team is the best basketball team in the league, maybe with some exceptions. I think what's happened though is teams want to beat the Celtics.
Yeah.
So you get teams like the Warriors and the Nets and all these Milwaukee and all these teams.
Oklahoma City Thunder.
They're not that far behind them to begin with. but intensity. You know, it's like the Bruins. Bruins don't have the intensity. I don't know. I look at it and I go, if I'm watching this and I see these guys doing what they're doing, why isn't Montgomery and Cam Neely and Sweeney doing something about it? I mean, we're talking 15, 16 games in.
Yeah.
You know, that's not a bad snapshot of what this team is all about. To me, if it's a snapshot of what it's all about, they're in trouble.
They're in trouble.
So anyway.
At any rate, we have expended our time here. But I want to thank everyone for spending their time here on Stepping Up to the Plate. And I want to thank my main man, Al Prizzuti, as always. All righty, hey, everyone. Take care and have a great weekend. Up ahead, we'll look forward to seeing you next time. Take care.